Hello everyone. So this is a demo for Spotify music recommendation app, which is built using Streamlit and backed by a machine learning model that is deployed in SageMaker. So in our Streamlit application, we have 9 use cases that we are taking care of. So one being that the normal user and admin user logins are separate. Only the admin user can actually see the dashboard. So if we go to the admin section, only the admin can see it. So let me just put it as admin. So once he logs in, he can basically see the admin dashboard, which is basically for the user feedback and count or usage by the users of this particular application. So we right now have 2 users and their corresponding usage counts. And this is the user feedback, which I'll come to later. And then we have the usage count, the average rating of the whole model that the users have rated it as, and then the last activity of the particular of this particular application. So coming to the home part, so we have we log in as one of the users. So just log in as okay. Oh, so here we have an incorrect password, so that's one thing. So for this we could basically see we can have a different user here. So let me see what's okay. So we could actually just create a new user. I think that's more convenient. So yeah, that would be basically better. So if we are saying that we are no new user, so let me just create a new user here, and I could give an email. Okay, yeah, so once I have signed up, I have a valid account, I can go to the login, and so yeah, let me just log in again here. So, and this is okay, I have logged in as a user. So now I can actually see the recommendations page since I'm a logged in user. So here we have 2 options. One is basically the user can check recommendations on a playlist level or a song level. So the playlist has to be of a type which is from Spotify and not something from YouTube or something. So for example, say if I have this here and I simply press enter, which is like existing, so it says that it has to be a valid URI. So if I keep this, so in that case I get the user the playlist that a user has entered, and then based on which I can actually get the recommendations here. Yeah, so we have a display output here as well, which kind of gives the logging of the whole process that's been happening right now, from getting the tracks to getting the similar tracks and then getting the recommendations all together. So here we have the top 10, which are the most similar with respect to the playlist that the user has entered. We also have word clouds. So these are all the word clouds that the genre that the user is listening to. So this particular playlist has the word cloud of, like, say maximum, like are related to pop, dance or hip hop, and then the playlist names in the cluster that were most similar to this playlist that the user entered was this. And for purposes of all those tech geeks who really want to know what the ML model is doing behind the scenes, so this is a little bit of explainability for you, which kind of openly says as to what the clusters were. So in our case we have these many clusters here, so you can see there are like around 17 clusters, and the centroid of the cluster, or the cluster that's most closest to the playlist that you have provided and the recommendations that the model has given. It lies around in this range, the star range. And then to highlight more, it also shows a spread, the songs which are in the cluster, which are spread out, and it says that you're in cluster 14, so okay, it makes sense. That's how it does now. Coming to the user feedback, which I showed earlier, so we have these 4 options wherein the user could actually give a feedback as to whether he liked the recommendations or not. It could be liked it, it could be love it, could be like it could be like okay, or didn't really like it or hate it. So I'll go with okay, I love it. So whenever the user gives a feedback, the feedback is recorded and the recommendations goes away. So it makes sense, because otherwise one could just keep clicking the buttons, right? So that's with respect to that. And then if we go to the feature with respect to the songs, so if I put something that is not existent, so in that case, because the database that we have for the Spotify Millions playlist is from 2017 to 2019, so if I put some song that is relatively new year, so let me put Save Your Tears by Weekend. So in that case, I can see that the song is not found in the Spotify app database, so need to add a valid song to see the recommendations. So this is another one of my favorites. So you can never go along with the Led Zeppelin, right? Yeah. So also again, so I have the spelling that has been wrong, so my bad. Yeah. So it doesn't matter on the what case you're giving, you're kind of just handling that stuff as well in the backend. So we get the response as the user song that was there, and we can basically now get the recommendations based on this song. And yeah, so here are the top 10 which are most closest. So alright, One Direction and things like that. So in our case, in terms of song, we're not really giving a word cloud or the feedback. The feedback is user feedback is restricted to just the playlist. So that's definitely the case. And yeah, so that's with respect to the playlist and the input features and the word cloud that I basically showed earlier as well. Now coming to the point that I can basically, if I want to go back, I can also see the average ratings. Okay, right now it kind of shows in too many decimals, but can handle that again later. So and then we have the user feedback. Again, the new user is added and he loved the last feedback, so that's there. With respect to the CI/CD pipeline, so in my so if I basically go to my yeah, let me just put it here. So yeah, so if I have my actions, so we have implemented certain actions for our project. So one is with respect to the Pytest and coverage. So each time a user is like pulling or merging a branch, we are testing it against, we are having a bunch of test cases which is using Pytest, and code coverage using also using coverage package. So we're testing it against 2 operating systems, Ubuntu latest and Windows, along with almost all variations of Python packages, so the versions from 3.6 till 3.9, and the job is successful. The other action that we are working with is the weekly Spotify recommendations, which is basically a cron job. So each time, right now it's for push, but then if we go back to the YAML, we are checking out the particular branch and then running this particular email script, wherein I would basically get an email. So yeah, so let me just probably make some change here. So right now it's with respect to a push. So yeah, so let me just content based, okay, document here. So let me just do some change here, so in order to trigger the particular workflow. So if I go to the actions, I have this particular branch that is pushed. So after the commit, I have this YAML running. and once it's successful, you can actually go. So what basically happens is that whenever the user has basically searched for certain songs, we have used so if you kind of go back and the user's directory, we're just kind of showing it for you. So here we have the database that we're using, and then the recently searched songs is what we are caching it, and then we are also keeping track of the recommended songs that were recommended for that last song. So we're using those metrics to basically provide the user a weekly kind of email with respect to that. So we can see now the YAML is complete. So if I go to my inbox, you can see that's for 10:54. The time right now is 10:54 as well. Let me check. So yeah, it's just right now. So you can see it'll say hi user, and then it gives the, so if I just open any one of them, so it's going to be that particular song. So that's with respect to the pipelines and things like that. So yeah, and that's about the whole thing. So if I basically have to show the overall pipeline that we used, so that would be in this case it would be let me just show the image alone. So yeah, okay, yeah, I think I have it now. So yeah, you can see here, so we have four basic pipelines here. So one, we have the recommendation model training pipeline, the other is inference pipeline, and then there's the music recommendation pipeline, which is hosted on Compute Engine, and then exposes the whole application through a public IP to the Streamlit as an interface to the user. And the workflow automation pipeline is basically just taking the feedback from Streamlit, having all the data stored in GCS bucket, and then triggering GitHub Actions based on push or pull in my GitHub repository, using the SMTP Gmail server and sending the email to the users. So that's with respect to the application, and yeah, that's I think that's about